Hi everybody, welcome to EduTap and also welcome to the government scheme session. Today we are covering Startup India. So it has been asked by one of you for me to make a session on. So we are going to understand about this and also why this scheme is, I think even you would understand that this particular scheme, Startup India, it is always in news. So what is so special about this scheme? What are the benefits it is going to provide to the entrepreneurs specifically of our country? We are going to understand in today's session. And I can already see students have joined. Serene has joined. Shalini, good morning. Serene, good morning. We have Pratul, good morning. Alright, so we are going to understand each and everything about the scheme, but before that, here's an announcement for all the aspirants who are preparing for central regulatory bodies. We have come up with one-stop solution guide to all the queries that you must be having regarding the organization you want to join. For example, if you want to know more about RBI, NABARD, SEBI, then all the detailed information has been mentioned along with the hierarchical structure of the institute, what will be your role once you join the organization and what not. Once that is done, then all about the recruitment process. So how many phases are there, what is the pattern of each phase, and about the syllabus, about the previous year cutoff trends, and all the eligibility criteria that you need to know and want to know are mentioned here. At the end, we have given some steps that you can follow if on your own if you're going for self preparation, and that is definitely going to boost up your preparation. So do not miss the opportunity. You can download these e-guidebooks which are free of cost from the link that is provided in the description box below. Alright. I'll take all the doubts at the end of the session, and now let's just start off with it. Okay, so Startup India, so I hope you have a little bit of idea. So this particular scheme targets the startups, the new businesses, you can say, right? And here we are talking about various sector, means these startup need not to be specifically in IT sector or some specific sector. We are targeting, the government wants to target a lot of sectors, for example your education, your agriculture, like whatsoever, wherever the new innovation can add up to the build economy, all such sectors are invited under it, and all the tier cities, we have first tier, second tier, third tier, all the cities are also included under this particular program. ठीक है, Startup India के अंदर ये सारे program included होते हैं. ठीक है, but how this particular, when we are talking about that government is providing them the support, so how they are going to provide that, right? So that has been divided in various sections. For example, ease of doing business, one is this category where the certification is easier, where whatever, if any legal matter it is there, usually 180 days are required, here 90 days will be done, right? Or the intellectual property rights, right, to have the patent for yourself, there the government is going to help you financially and also going to make it hassle free, right? Apart from that, if you're doing a startup, you must be requiring some fund also, right? So providing that financial fund, that is also government is providing under the scheme. And at the end, it is also giving various platform where, for example, I am a new person, I want to have a startup, but I do not have any funding. Either I can take loan, right? Or what I can do, there are various competitions that are being done by the government, I can participate in it. Okay, I can back some good deal for myself, some company might sponsor my idea, right? So all these things are the government is going to provide under this particular scheme. We are going to understand all whatever I have just told you in a sequenced manner, step by step. Okay, starting off with the launch year. So the scheme was launched back in 2016, and because here we are talking about industries, companies, so definitely your Ministry of Commerce and Industry, it is your the ministry under which this particular scheme is followed. Okay, अब here this is a very big ministry, right? So there has to be some specific department that needs to take care of all the things that are done under Startup India, right? So we have Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. ठीक है, जो आपका ये वाला डिपार्टमेंट है, this particularly take up about the implementation of this particular scheme, which is Startup India. So what was the aim, why this scheme was introduced? Okay, so that we have understood, right? We have to empower our startups, and how can we empower them? By promoting the new designs and innovation in this particular field. All right, and talking about specifically, if we talk about how this particular scheme is going to help, what are the objectives under this, so that we have also understood, to provide them such an ecosystem where they can easily flourish, right? So we have to build such a strong ecosystem. This Startup India initiative will come up, and it will bring it will build a strong ecosystem. And for what purpose? For nurturing our innovations and startup. देखो जितना ज़्यादा innovation होगा, जितना ज़्यादा आपका इनोवेशन होगा उतने ज़्यादा स्टार्टअप्स आएंगे, राइट. हाउ स्टार्टअप्स आर फॉर्म्ड? व्हेन somebody have a new idea, they have something new to cater, then only a startup is formed, right? So that is why under the scheme such environment will be provided, so more and more innovation can happen, more and more startups can be formed, and apart from that, this will definitely, one is this the thing that it is going to help in the economic development, right? But along with that, it is also going to provide with the employment opportunities for the people, right? So here the even the, because if you're building a startup, if you're building a company, you'll be requiring people, right? So that is going to help with the employment opportunities as well. So now if you look at the overall startup India, so we have understood it is going to cater different sections of the society on the different tiers of the society level of the cities that have been made by the government based on the development they already have, right? So different categories, right? And we have also understood we have to create an ecosystem, right? So when we are saying we have to create an ecosystem, and I already gave you some of the hints that how ease of doing business has to be done, some financial support has to be made, right? So basically government has to take some actions to implement this particular program in a better manner, right? So there are 19 such points that have been made by the government. So there are 19 action plans that are there under the Startup India, which the government will actually implement. Now I understand that the picture that I have added over here, it might not be readable currently, right? But this I have just made this picture just to give you a like brief idea about what we are going to study next, because in detailed manner in further slides we are anyway going to understand, ठीक है. But ये जो 19 action plans है can be broader, in a broader sense can be categorized into 3 categories. One is simplification and hand holding. So this we are talking about ease of doing business, right? So here we are talking about a lot of things, one by one we will understand, but simply just you need to understand, if I'm opening a startup, I have a lot of formalities that has to be done by government, that has been, you know, rules and regulations that have been made by government. So government, because they also want to have more and more startups, they want to promote startup, so they have what done, they are saying that okay, whatever rules and regulations we have made, we will ease out them for you, okay? And also there are various ways that we are going to help you during the journey, ठीक है. तो hand holding की जाएगी government की, क्या क्या होगी, there are certifications and other things, one by one we will understand, ठीक है. Second is definitely when we are talking about startup, we are talking about money, funding, right? So second talks about funding supports and some incentives, means when we say incentive, we are talking about tax exemption which the startups in the initial years they will get, okay, so that even they have some profit with themselves which they can either multiply further or they can invest back in the business or anything, ठीक है. तो funding support and incentive है, कुछ tax exemption है, and at the end there are various platform, right? Partnership or incubation is nothing but you can say a safe space where the startups they can have from the skilled person some you can say knowledge transfer, or the experienced people, what they can do through the incubation centers, they can help the startup during the initial stages, ठीक है. तो simplification and hand holding is during the different processes that happens during the startup, like it's like a journey, ठीक है. फंडिंग सपोर्ट आपको जिस भी मोमेंट में चाहिए हो, और पार्टनरशिप एक आप यू कैन से एक सलाह देना, ठीक है. एक सलाह देता कोई एक्सपीरियंस्ड किसी इनएक्सपीरियंस्ड को, सो टू हैव दैट लेवरेज सो दैट यू कैन लर्न फ्रॉम द एक्सपीरियंस्ड पीपल. द थर्ड कैटेगरी इंडस्ट्रियल अकेडमी पार्टनरशिप एंड इंक्यूबेशन, इट इज देयर. सो वट एवर 19 categories are there, they are under these 3 subheads only, or 3 components only, ठीक है. Now we are going to look at these subheads one by one, starting off with simplification and hand holding. Till now if there is any confusion from the slides that we have studied, please ask me, I'll clear that out, ठीक है. Now talking about simplification and hand holding, इसमें हम सबसे पहले पढ़ेंगे about the compliance regime for self certification. देखो, whenever you have opened any industry, any business, right? So there are some certification, there are some labor laws, right? Your company should follow them, and if it is following, then you should have a proper certificate, so that if inspection, the frequent inspections that are done, you have that certificate to share your side that you are following all the labor laws, ठीक है. 9 labor laws है, ठीक है. Similarly there are some environmental laws also which now government is focusing, and if you have that certification, it is going to help you in the future, ठीक है. अब government is saying now these certification processes are very long, it takes a lot, right, and it is going it, if you don't have certification you might not get much of the profits which government is making. So government has simply said that okay, if you are by your own following the 9 labor laws that has been said by the government, and there are around 3 environmental laws, if you are following them, there is an application, mobile and application, and through that startup mobile application you can self certify yourself. ठीक है. So startup are allowed to self certify themselves for the 9 labor laws and 3 environmental laws that are there. ठीक है. तो वो खुद कर सकती है. अब इससे बेनिफिट क्या होगा? सो फॉर द 3 years दे विल नॉट बी डिस्टर्ब्ड फॉर द इंस्पेक्शन ऑफ द लेबर लॉस. ठीक है. तो इन सब चीज़ों में टेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम, बहुत ज़्यादा इसमें हैसल लगता है, राइट. सो दैट विल बी अवॉइडेड. बट इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट यू कैन जस्ट फेक सर्टिफाई योर सेल्फ, राइट, बिकॉज इफ एनीबडी गॉट अ कंप्लेन, राइट, इफ देर इज अ रिटन कंप्लेन अगर कुछ मिली, तो इन दैट केस व्हाट विल बी डन, with that will be negative for you, right. So it what the government has said that the any company can give self certification if they are following the laws for the 3 years that will be valid. 3 to 5 years का आपका time period होता है. But if you receive any complaint in that case, then that would backfire them. ठीक है. But so it's a kind of trust that the government is building on the startups and giving them an opportunity to come forward. ठीक है. तो self certification, so you can say it's a kind of simplifying their simplifying the work of the industries, right, and hand holding them. And yeah, और उसके केस में जो आपका एनवायरमेंटल लॉज है, इनके केस में क्या है, वाइट कैटेगरी है, मीन्स द सेल्फ सर्टिफिकेशन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, राइट. सो फॉर द एनवायरमेंटल केस, द एनवायरमेंटल लॉ केस, देर इज अ वाइट कैटेगरी दैट हैज बीन मेड बाय द सेंट्रल पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड. सो दे हैव सेड वाइट कैटेगरी आर सच इंडस्ट्रीज विच डू नॉट जनरेट पॉल्यूशन. इफ यू आर द इंडस्ट्री, you are the startup which is not generating any pollution in the sort of startup you are doing, you can self certify yourself in the white category. ठीक है. तो इन द सिंप्लीफिकेशन एंड हैंड होल्डिंग विच इज वन ऑफ द यू कैन से कॉम्पोनेंट ऑफ स्टार्टअप इंडिया, व्हाट वी हैव स्टडीड अबाउट, वी हैव स्टडीड अबाउट द सेल्फ सर्टिफिकेशन. यू कैन गिव सेल्फ सर्टिफिकेशन if you're following the laws, the 9 labor laws and 3 environmental laws that are been given by the government. Okay, if you're following that, you can self certify for the 3 years. You will not get any inspection done. However, if somebody complain, in that case, yes, definitely there will be an inspection. And in the case of environmental laws, if you fall under the white category, what does it mean? That your startup does not create any pollution. In that case also you can get yourself a self certification. ठीक है. Second category is about the Startup India Hub, because initially when you are talking about having more and more startups, so there should be some common ground, some common link, right. There should be a hub from where all the other startups are connected somehow, right, so that exchange of information can take place, right. Knowledge change can take place, the entire ecosystem that is being creating, there should be a single point of contact. ठीक है. एक सिंगल पॉइंट ऑफ कॉन्टैक्ट से क्या होता है, नॉलेज एक्सचेंज होता है. व्हाट आर द न्यू थिंग्स इन द मार्केट, व्हाट आर द थिंग्स trending, that everything that is going on. ठीक है. What are the access to funding, right. Such a platform, we should have a common single point where the investors are also there and the people with ideas should also be there, right. So India Hub में क्या होगा, Startup India Hub में that will act as a single point of contact. ठीक है. इसके अलावा क्या है, मोबाइल ऐप एंड पोर्टल होगा, अगेन विद ऑल द थिंग्स दैट वट एवर बी द न्यू नॉर्म्स विच गवर्नमेंट इज कमिंग अप विद, वट एवर बी द न्यू थिंग्स दैट आर देयर, एवरीथिंग अबाउट all the information among various stakeholders that will be shared. ठीक है. अभी तक under the simplification and hand holding we talked about the self certification and especially the white category of the environmental law where if your company does not pollute, does not create pollution, it can fall under that category. Second, we studied about a single point of contact where all the where you can say the exchange of information can take place between the different various stakeholders directly. देखो इसमें क्या होगा, जो मोबाइल ऐप एंड पोर्टल है, यू आर पोस्टिंग समथिंग, अपलोडिंग समथिंग, राइट, एंड यू आर गेटिंग द रिस्पॉन्स. हेयर यू कैन से इट्स लाइक अ कॉन्टैक्ट होना आपस में, यू आर एक्सचेंजिंग योर थॉट्स, एक्सचेंजिंग योर कॉन्टैक्ट. अब जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल इन ऐप, इफ गवर्नमेंट हैज लॉन्च दैट ओके नाउ न्यू एज पर द न्यू रेगुलेशन startup are going to follow these rules, right. Now that from the portal and mobile app you are going to get that new knowledge that okay, any new norm has come, right. But for example, if I have an idea and I just pitch it and there is an investor who is interested in it, सो दैट विल बी योर इंडिया हब. हब में क्या हुआ, आपस में एक सिंगल पॉइंट ऑफ कॉन्टैक्ट आपका फॉर्म हुआ है. ठीक है, आई होप देयर इज क्लैरिटी ऑफ थॉट्स हियर. नेक्स्ट इज अबाउट द पेटेंट that we are talking about. IPR, intellectual property right. So if you have created something new, something innovative, definitely you should have that benefit, right? If something has originated from your mind, you should get the benefit, right? And for how you can get that, if you have patent, so that nobody can take your idea and make profit out of it, right? Usually the patents, they are in, if you have to register a patent, it costs you lakhs of amount, right? So government is going to help you with that. Government is saying आपको कि हम सारा आपको वापस कर देंगे, बस जो एक स्टैट्यूटरी फीस होती है ना, एंड देखो while you are doing a patent, so at different stages you have to pay some amount. So government is saying just statutory fees which is there, you pay only that, rest apart we are going to back up with the amount. Okay, and if you are applying from under us, like देखो अब when you apply for patents, ठीक है, तो आप या तो किसी आप अलग अलग सोर्सेज के थ्रू करते हो, राइट? सो गवर्नमेंट इज सेइंग दैट whoever स्टार्टअप आर अंडर अस, अंडर दिस पर्टिकुलर इनिशिएटिव, उनको कितना मिलेगा जब पेटेंट फाइल करते हैं, उसका 80% तक उनको रिबेट मिल जाएगा अगर कंपेयर करें अदर कंपनीज से. सो ऑल इन ऑल व्हाट इज देयर दैट इन द केस ऑफ पेटेंट, गवर्नमेंट इज गोइंग टू बैकअप विद द मनी, राइट? गवर्नमेंट इज सेइंग सिर्फ स्टैट्यूटरी फीस जो भी एप्लीकेबल होगी, पेएबल होगी, जस्ट पे दैट, रेस्ट अपार्ट वी आर गोइंग टू फोकस ऑन इट. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट इज अबाउट द रिलैक्स नॉर्म फॉर पब्लिक प्रोक्योरमेंट ऑफ स्टार्टअप. ठीक है, इसमें क्या है, देखो इसमें एक क्राइटेरिया है जो दैट इज वैलिड फॉर अदर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर, बट जो हमारे स्टार्टअप्स है वो एग्जेम्प्टेड है इससे. ठीक है, वो क्या है, गवर्नमेंट शेल एग्जेम्प्ट द स्टार्टअप को एग्जेम्प्ट कर रहे हैं. एंड इन विच सेक्टर वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर वाले स्टार्टअप के लिए, द स्टार्टअप दैट इज इंगेज्ड इन द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर, दे आर एग्जेम्प्ट फ्रॉम द क्राइटेरिया ऑफ prior experience of turnover, okay, without any relaxation in quality standard. मतलब क्या है इसमें, again the thing as I said that there are some rules that are going on. ठीक है, तो अब क्या हमको क्या करना है, if we want to boost up the startup we have to give them some leverages. ठीक है, तो without prior experience के भी क्या है, जो startups हैं they can take up the benefit under the scheme. And finally faster exit for startup means if any legal anything that is going on, ठीक है, तो that will be wound up under 90 days irrespective of the 180 days that happens in the general companies, like they are not startup. If it's a company, it's not a startup now, so in that case usually around 180 days take to for all the legalities and other such stuff to go on. But if you are a startup, तो कितना वो time period दिया, 90 days दिया है, so that you just come out of that particular system. So we have studied about the simplification and hand holding, where we studied about a lot of things. For example, I'll just summarize. ठीक है, self certification we studied about, then hub के बारे में पढ़ा, single point of contact, we studied about the mobile app and portal, and then we studied about the patent thing, right? Patent easy हो जाएगा. And apart from that क्या होगा, जो आपके हमारे कुछ रिलैक्सेशन नॉर्म्स है फॉर पब्लिक प्रोक्योरमेंट फॉर स्टार्टअप. ठीक है, कोई रिलैक्सेशन नॉर्म्स है, उसमें क्या है, एग्जेम्प्ट किया गया है मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर वालों को. इफ दे डू नॉट हैव एक्सपीरियंस दे कैन स्टिल बी पार्ट ऑफ इट. ओके, एंड फास्टर एग्जिट फॉर स्टार्टअप वेन एवर एनी legality other things that happen, other such cases happens, in that case within 90 days all these formalities needs to be done, so that the startup they can just exit from these the circle of this courts and everything, and they can again focus on the work. Okay, so that was the first category, hand holding is done in that. ठीक है, अब second है funding support में कैसा होगा, तो first case है we have funds of funds. ठीक है, startup funds of funds, in that this is the name of a scheme name is funds of fund which come under your startup India initiative only. In that amount will be given to startup. ठीक है, 2.5 करोड़ मिलेगा पर साल 4 साल के लिए. ओके, सो 2500 करोड़ मिलेगा फॉर पर ईयर मिलेगा फॉर 4 years. तो ओवरऑल इफ यू लुक एट, सो इफ एवरी ईयर 2500 करोड़ इज गिवन टू द स्टार्टअप फॉर 4 years, so overall how much has been given to startup? So overall कितना मिल रहा है, 10,000 करोड़ is provided, because every year 2.5 करोड़ is provided, 1000 crore is provided per year. So for 4 years is provided. ठीक है, अगर 2500 हर साल मिल रहा है 4 साल के लिए, तो ओवरऑल कितना मिलेगा? So overall 10,000 crore will be provided to the startup. But this amount is not directly cash that has been provided. No, it's in the other form. जो आपके SEBI के registered venture funds है ना, SEBI have different sorts, right? Stocks होता है, and there are other categories also. One such category is venture funds. ठीक है? So this amount, the investment which government will do in the funds, that it will not do directly. It will not just provide cash that okay, take this cash and do the business. No, it will provide in the venture funds form, so that that is why the name is funds of funds. Because if you directly give the money, it is going to be utilized only once for whatever purpose the company will use. But through SEBI's venture fund, what will be done? This fund which is provided into the system, this fund will multiply into अदर फंड्स. ठीक है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ आई गिव यू, देखो जैसे म्यूचुअल फंड होता है, ठीक है, म्यूचुअल फंड इज द बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल. SIP कराते हो, ठीक है, मोस्ट ऑफ यू मस्ट हैव हर्ड द टर्म SIP. ठीक है, SIP में क्या होता है? यू आर जस्ट गिविंग मनी. ठीक है, आपका मनी कटता है. ठीक है, सिस्टमैटिक इन्वेस्टमेंट पोर्टफोलियो में आपका जस्ट मनी कटता है, एंड दैट फर्दर it invests into multiple mutual funds. So here funds of funds were like whatever fund that you have invested, that fund has been utilized to create multiple funds. ठीक है, so government is saying under funds of startup funds of funds, it will not directly provide this money to the company, but it will invest in their venture funds, so that they always have this revolving fund into themselves. You can say they have this amplified or a second source of income. It will always come for their startup. ठीक है, second है, अब for example I am a startup, I want to take some loan, okay, but the banks are not trusting me enough because I do not have much of the, you can say, backing for myself, right? So in that case, what the government has done, government has created a fund इन द गवर्नमेंटल ट्रेजरी. ठीक है, गवर्नमेंट ने क्या करा है, एक फंड अपना खुद का क्रिएट करा है, एंड दैट इन दैट फंड गवर्नमेंट विल कीप सम मनी. एंड व्हाई दे विल कीप सम मनी? टू गिव दैट गारंटी to the bank, okay, for the credit which I want. For example, I am a startup, I want a credit, I want a loan. ठीक है, credit simply means loan की बात करते हैं. I wanted a loan, okay, I went to the bank, but I did not have collateral with me. Collateral means if I'm not able to pay back the loan, I have something in return of that money which I can pay back to the loan. ठीक है, pay back to the bank. Now I do not have any collateral. So in that case, government is going to provide the guarantee to the bank by showing them the that funds. Government will say to the bank, okay, I have the funds reserved with me. You know it. We have a proper trust created for it, fund created for it. So if the particular startup, that is I in this case, is not able to pay back the loan, you can take up the money from this fund. So for that case, government ने क्रेडिट गारंटी फंड भी बनाया है, एंड एक कंपनी बनाई है, नेशनल क्रेडिट ट्रस्ट कंपनी, जिसमें 500 करोड़ पर ईयर रखे जाते हैं टू गिव दैट ट्रस्ट टू द बैंक, सो दैट दे कैन पे सम अमाउंट टू द स्टार्टअप एंड दे कैन फ्लरिश. ठीक है, अगर कोई कंफ्यूजन है प्लीज आस्क मी. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट टैक्स एग्जेम्पशन है. देखो इनिशियल ईयर्स में, इफ इन द इनिशियल ईयर यू आर गेनिंग सम कैपिटल गेन्स, मीन्स यू आर गेनिंग सम प्रॉफिट, सो इन दैट केस दोज आर एग्जेम्प्टेड फ्रॉम द टैक्स. ठीक है, उसमें आपको टैक्स नहीं पे करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज इनिशियली यू नीड दैट मनी टू गेट स्टेबलाइज्ड, राइट? सो दैट is why initially that money is not comes under the, that does not come under the tax. ठीक है, और कब तक के लिए? आपके 3 साल के लिए, that particular time, for that time period it is exempted. ठीक है, अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट एक और आपका केस होता है. ठीक है, देखो फंडिंग, सपोर्ट एंड इंसेंटिव में अभी तक हमने क्या पढ़ा? द फर्स्ट वी स्टडीड अबाउट द फंड्स ऑफ फंड्स वेयर द गवर्नमेंट इज डूइंग द इन्वेस्टमेंट इन द वेंचर, सेबी वेंचर कैपिटल्स. ठीक है, सेकेंड वी स्टडीड अबाउट दे हैव क्रिएटेड अ फंड, दे हैव मेड अ फंड और ट्रस्ट और अ कंपनी, राइट, for the credit guarantee from your end to the bank. ठीक है, third we have talked about the tax exemptions, that you are not going to get you would not have to pay any tax on the profits that you have gained in the initial years. Apart from that, there is also one case. देखो अब ये है वो criteria, and जो आपका startup है that is exempted from it. ठीक है, जो आपका Income Tax Act 1961 है, it says that whenever a company receives any consideration for issue of shares which exceed the fair market value. What does it mean? That whatever be the fair market value, if the company कि जो शेयर है उसको उससे थोड़ा ज्यादा मिल रहा है, ठीक है, कंसिडरेशन मींस दे आर गेटिंग एनी कंपनसेशन अबव द फेयर मार्केट शेयर वैल्यू, सो ऑफ कोर्स दे आर गोइंग टू हैव सम प्रॉफिट, राइट, कुछ एक्स्ट्रा मनी आएगा, सो दैट इज यूजुअली दैट इज टैक्सेबल. ठीक है, बिकॉज इट इज कंसिडर्ड एज द इनकम फ्रॉम अदर सोर्स, मतलब उसको एक एडिशनल इनकम मान के चलते हैं, एंड दैट इज टैक्सेबल यूजुअली अंडर योर इनकम सेक्शन एक्ट 1961. बट नाउ बिकॉज वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट स्टार्टअप्स एंड हाउ इफ दे शुड फ्लरिश, राइट, सो इन दैट केस इट इज ऑल्सो एग्जेम्प्टेड फ्रॉम द टैक्स. ठीक है, तो हमने सेकंड केस कर लिया, दैट इज अबाउट द फंडिंग सपोर्ट एंड इंसेंटिव. लास्टली वी हैव इज द इंडस्ट्री एकेडमी पार्टनरशिप एंड इंक्यूबेशन. सिंपली इट जस्ट टॉक्स अबाउट द कोलैबोरेशन एंड प्रोवाइडिंग देम अ प्लेटफॉर्म. तो सिंपली what has to be done under this, startup fest shall be organized, right, collab to have a platform for them to showcase their talent, right. Atal innovation mission, under this what is done, incubation centers are established. Incubation centers, I've already told you, these are the space where during the initial years the experienced people of the government, they might guide you, you know, how to establish a startup, how to focus on it, how to focus on the market, prototype, everything that is being guided under an incubation center. ठीक है, तो अटल इनोवेशन मिशन के थ्रू you will get that particular, you will have those labs, the incubation centers, where you can get the benefit. And apart from that, there will be talent utilization programs, competitions that will be done. Good amount, handsome amount will be given to such innovative ideas, so that startup can be formed. ठीक है, and private sector will also be you know, included, not just the public sector, not only the government bodies, but yes, private sector, the private public partnership भी इसके अंदर include की जाएगी, right, so that we can harness the expertise that we have in private सेक्टर टू द न्यू स्टार्टअप और उनकी डेवलपमेंट के लिए. ठीक है, और इनोवेशन सेंटर्स आपके नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट लेवल में आपके इनोवेशन सेंटर बनेंगे. अगेन इट जस्ट टॉक अबाउट हैविंग इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर्स, गेटिंग अ स्पेस वेयर दे कैन बी ट्रेन्ड, दे कैन हैव अ प्लेटफॉर्म टू शोकेस देयर टैलेंट. ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर सेम ओनली. ठीक है, 7 न्यू रिसर्च पार्क्स बनाए जाएंगे. ठीक है, सेटअप्स किए जाएंगे स्टार्टिंग विद IIT मद्रास. आपके इसमें 100 करोड़ अप्रॉक्स पर नेशनल रिसर्च पार्क के लिए दिया जाएगा. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, बायोटेक्नोलॉजी सेक्टर के लिए भी स्टार्टअप्स, दे विल बी प्रमोटेड अंडर इट. ओके, लॉन्चिंग ऑफ इनोवेशन फोकस प्रोग्राम फॉर स्टूडेंट, अगेन टू गिव देम एन अपॉर्चुनिटी, गिव देम अ प्लेटफॉर्म so that they can showcase their talent, because you, during, even if it happens you don't have any ideas, but if there is a competition, you might then, you know, think of certain things, and that might be of importance, and that can have good opportunities in future. So all that you're going to get with the challenges, with the research models that are being designed by the government. ठीक है, तो इसमें ये था, that was all about this particular scheme. I hope now you have the clarity on the scheme. If you have any doubt, please ask me, I'll definitely reply. And please join our Telegram channel to get the PDF of this and every lecture that we provide here on YouTube. And if you like the video, you can join our Telegram channel as well. So now that is it. Now I am going to take some questions that I can see. Anurag is asking, EduTap का अगर मैं CA करूँगा, it will be, yes Anurag, that will be more than sufficient for you from the examination perspective. And then we have good morning Anjali, Anmol, good morning. And then Pooja is asking, I have appeared for NABARD Grade A in 2025. Does preparation from this year will be sufficient for me or not? Pooja, for NABARD as well as RBI, like 5 to 6 months are more than enough. So if you're preparing for 2025, you have a lot of time, and that's like way more than enough. In that case, I would recommend you, do not, you know, be much specific about the datas, because it might change in next 2 years, 1.5 years, right? So what you can do till now, you can just have a brief understanding, okay, these are the schemes that are run by the government, because schemes usually they would remain static only, the data only that change, right? So I would say, if you're watching these videos, do not make notes currently. Rest apart, just read newspaper, editorials of newspaper, and focus on quant reasoning and English. That will be more than enough. Why am I saying quant reasoning and English? Because that will give you more that will increase your paths for career, right? Because quant reasoning, English are such subject which are asked in almost all examination. So if you have 1.5 years with you, you can have good command on quant reasoning and English, even though it does not have much weightage in NABARD. ठीक है. Raj, can we see you are not well? Take rest. Thank you Raj. Yes, I'll do that. Yes Anurag, that will be sufficient. That will be done. ठीक है, वो आपके लिए काफ़ी होगा for you to do. We have Shalini crystal clear. Thank you, Shalini. Thank you. And yeah, so if you want me to cover any scheme, do let me know. I'll make a session on that. And so that is all. We'll meet again in another video with another lecture on another scheme. Until then, all the very best for your examination, and thank you.